bare-shouldered men, gripping stone spears and wooden shields, collide on the riverbank. No uniforms, no banners, only mud, blood, and the sound of bones breaking. One man falls, a spear driven through his stomach. Another screams as the village behind him bursts into flames. Women drag their children away, fleeing. Barley is trampled into the dirt. The grain stores are stripped bare. This war is not for glory, not for honor. It was for one reason alone: survival. This land would later be called the Fertile Crescent, a crescent-shaped strip of land stretching from the marshes of southern Iraq, along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, northward, then curving through Syria, down to the Mediterranean coast, and ending in Egypt at the Nile. Amid deadly deserts, it looked like a green fracture across the face of the earth. The Tigris and Euphrates carried fertile silt from the high mountains, depositing it year after year, century after century. Here, crops could grow. Here, humans could survive. And because of that, here, war was inevitable. Long before this, humans wandered endlessly, hunting and gathering. But in the Fertile Crescent, something happened that changed everything. Humans stayed. They planted barley. They domesticated animals. They built houses. And for the first time in history, humans said, "This land is mine." From that moment, organized violence was born. Imagine a moonless night. A small group of warriors moves silently through the riverside fields. They are not many, but they are hungry. They storm the village. Doors are smashed open. Grain stores are broken into. One man is killed on his own doorstep. Another house is set ablaze to draw attention away. This is not a great battle, but it kills more people than we imagine. Because when the food is gone, an entire village starves. Agriculture created surplus, and surplus created envy, greed, and violence. Communities living along the rivers built walls, dug moats, and trained men to carry weapons. For the first time, the warrior emerged as a social role, not to hunt animals, but to kill other humans. The earliest wars of the Fertile Crescent were crude: stone spears, wooden shields, bronze axes, no complex formations, no sophisticated tactics, but brutal. The defeated were killed, driven from their land, or taken as slaves. Children grew up amid smoke and fire. Violence became normal. Land equals power. Across generations, one truth was carved deep. Those who held the land survived. Those who lost it disappeared. Stronger communities controlled irrigation canals, held fertile ground, and stockpiled grain. Weaker communities were forced to flee or were swallowed whole. This was the cradle of the first states. In the Fertile Crescent, the first names appeared: Sumer, Akkad, Babylon. And in the north, near the upper reaches of the Tigris, a hard land was taking shape. A people forged under constant pressure. A people who learned that mercy was a path to extinction. Their name was Assyria. Return to the riverbank. The morning's chaos is over. Bodies lie scattered in the mud. The victors take the land. The defeated vanish. The river keeps flowing. The silt keeps settling. The Fertile Crescent continues to sustain humanity and continues to kill it. The most fertile land is also the bloodiest. And here, an empire will be born, forged by war, raised on fear, and carved into history with iron and blood. Assyria, the Iron Empire. Assyria was not born at the center of abundance. They lived on the northern edge of the Fertile Crescent, where the land was hard, harvests uncertain, and invasion routes were always wide open. Here, survival was not a right, Survival was a struggle lasting generations. The population grew. Farmland did not. With every passing year, pressure increased. One village needed more fields. Another tribe needed more water. Another group needed food for winter. No one retreated. And when there was nowhere left to fall back, violence became the only option. At first, it was only raiding grain stores, burning fields, killing a few people as a warning. But war stopped being an event. It became a way of life. In Assyria, men grew accustomed to spears, young men grew accustomed to killing, children grew up surrounded by screams. War no longer shocked. It became normal. Many communities fought, but they fought on instinct. Assyria was different. They began to organize formations, assign roles, maintain discipline in battle. This was the turning point. War was no longer chaos. War became a repeatable tool, not just fighting to win. Assyria soon realized an important truth. Kill one man, and you win once. Make 100 men afraid, and you win 100 times. They did not fight only to seize land. They fought to create terror. Those who resisted were executed publicly. Rebellious villages were wiped out completely. The goal was not justice. The goal was deterrence. Fear traveled faster than armies. Rumors of Assyria arrived before their soldiers. People whispered, "Do not resist them. Surrender and live. Defiance means death." When Assyrian forces appeared, many fled before a battle was even fought. This was violence at peak efficiency. War becomes identity over generations. Assyria no longer remembered a life without war. Violence was no longer a temporary measure. It became a national identity. The strong were right. The weak deserved elimination. The world was seen through the eyes of the victor. Power begins to concentrate. Endless warfare created a new need. Orders had to be swift. Punishment had to be brutal. Decisions could not be questioned. Power concentrated in the hands of one man, not a king of peace, but a war leader. This was the precursor of later Assyrian kings. The gods were drawn into war. Assyria did not believe they fought only because of hunger. They believed the gods had chosen them. Victory was proof of divine will. The defeated were not merely beaten. They were abandoned by the gods. This belief made violence sacred. From survival to domination, once accustomed to war, Assyria began to change its goals, not merely holding land, but controlling others. Each victory brought food, labor, power. War began to sustain itself. The path with no exit. But this path offered no escape. Assyrian society became rigid, brutal, incapable of peace. Peace itself became a threat. No war meant weakness. Weakness meant extinction. The seeds of the Iron Empire. At this stage, Assyria was not yet an empire. There was no massive, standing army, industrial-scale iron weapons, fully developed machinery of terror. But the mindset was complete. War was the path. Fear was the weapon. Violence was the policy. The Fertile Crescent gave birth to civilization. But it also gave birth to something else. A people who believed that to survive, others must be made afraid. Assyria chose that path. In the next video, when iron replaces bronze, when armies are organized on an unprecedented scale, Assyria will no longer be merely survivors. They will become the nightmare of the ancient Middle East.